Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Hey there.
Today, we're embarking on, well, a bit of an unusual mission, I think. We're connecting two seemingly very different worlds.
That's right. We've got one set of sources here talking all about advanced techniques for getting really fluent in English.
Yeah, specific drills, vocab, communication structures, that kind of thing.
And then right next to that, we have this other stack. It's a really raw, a quite emotional account of Hurricane Helen.
Which hit Asheville, North Carolina back in September 2024. A truly devastating event.
Yeah, it really was. So on the surface, it looks like, apples and oranges, learning smooth speech versus surviving a catastrophe.
Totally. Yeah. But our goal here, our deep dive mission, is to find where these things meet.
Exactly. We think the skills you build for effective, rapid communication, listening well, understanding nuance, responding quickly, those are actually the very skills that help communities build resilience. The skills you need to survive when things really go sideways.
Absolutely. So for you, the listener, this isn't just theory. We're giving you vocabulary for, say, small talk,
right?
But also the context for understanding communication in these really profound, life-altering situations.
So you get accuracy, yes, but also adaptability, which is crucial.
Definitely crucial.
Okay.
Let's unpack this.
Yeah.
So starting with the language stuff, Section 1, the fast track to fluency.
Right. Our sources lay out this pretty structured 4-part approach designed to get speaking skills up quickly.
Okay, what other parts?
Well, it moves systematically. Starts with just listening practice, pure comprehension.
Got it.
Then building essential vocabulary, part 2.
Makes sense.
Part 3 is listen and answer drills, getting that active recall going.
Okay.
And it all culminates in part 4, which the sources say is the single most powerful technique for speaking fluency. Shadowing.
Shadowing. I find this one fascinating. It's very physical, isn't it?
It really is. You're not just repeating words after a pause. You're listening and speaking almost simultaneously, or right on the heels of the speaker.
Copying everything, the rhythm, the intonation.
The stress patterns, yeah. You're essentially training the muscle memory of your mouth, your tongue, your throat. It's like verbal mimicry on steroids.
And what's the key benefit of doing it that way?
Well, the sources argue the crucial thing is bypassing cognitive load, at least initially.
Okay. So less thinking, more doing.
Exactly. You're training yourself for natural, smooth, confident delivery. The focus right at the start is fluency over perfect accuracy.
Which sounds a lot like how little kids learn their first language.
Precisely. Through immersion, repetition, mimicry. They're not sitting there conjugating verbs in their heads,
Right. They just talk. Grammar comes later.
Yeah, grammar gets refined through use and correction over time.
But hang on, isn't there a risk there? If you just mimic, could you end up cementing bad habits, fossilizing errors?
That's a fair point and an important one.
Are we saying accuracy doesn't matter?
Not at all. But the sources suggest that prioritizing speed and fluency early on is key because, hesitation is often the biggest barrier to actual communication.
Okay. The fear of making a mistake stops you from speaking at all.
Exactly. Once someone can speak smoothly, confidently, even with some minor errors, they're actually in the conversation. They're participating.
And the fine-tuning, the grammar polish, can come later.
Right. Built on that foundation of effortless, or at least more effortless, verbal output. Shadowing trains those reflexes.
So in a real chat, your brain isn't stuck calculating rules.
It's just responding more automatically.
And the sources give good examples for practice, right?
Yeah.
Basic stuff.
Yeah, perfect foundations for that reflexive training. High-frequency things you actually need.
Like greetings and introductions, it's nice to meet you.
Asking for help or directions. Excuse me, can you help me?
Ordering food. I'd like a coffee, please.
Yeah.
Simple but essential.
Small talk basics. Talking about feelings. I feel happy today. It's about training that automatic response system for everyday interactions.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Build a muscle memory first. All right, Section 2. Moving beyond just the mechanics to vocabulary for nuance.
Yeah, because just training the speaking muscles isn't enough for real fluency, is it?
No, you need those little phrases, the non-literal bits that native speakers use all the time.
Exactly, those things that signal a deeper understanding. Our sources highlighted 2 really useful examples.
Okay, what are they?
First one, give or take.
Yes. Essential phrase.
Absolutely essential.
Yeah.
Because it shows you recognize the world isn't perfectly precise.
Right. It signals flexibility, acknowledges variables.
Tells the listener you're estimating slightly. Indicates a small margin of difference, nothing major.
Like saying the bus ride is 30 minutes. That sounds a bit stiff, maybe.
A bit textbook, yeah.
But if you say, it takes 30 minutes, give or take, depending on traffic.
Now you sound like someone who actually rides the bus. You understand rush hour.
Exactly. The sources also mention distance. The school is 10 kilometers away, give or take a few.
It's just that immediate signal of estimation, of practicality. Very natural.
Okay, so give or take for approximation. What's the second one?
The second one is by and large.
By and large, okay.
This is a great one for summarizing, for giving a general picture.
How so?
It lets you talk about the main idea or the overall feeling while kind of setting aside minor issues or exceptions.
Okay, like focusing on the big picture.
Precisely. You might say, for instance, I like my university by and large.
Meaning mostly, but maybe not every single thing.
Yeah. Maybe the teachers are great, students are friendly, so by and large it's good, even if, say, the cafeteria food is terrible.
Or the admin is slow. You're focusing on the dominant impression.
Right. You're conveying the general positive or negative feeling without getting bogged down in every little detail.
So pulling these together, mastering phrases like give or take and by and large.
It moves you past just basic comprehension, doesn't it?
Yeah, into navigating ambiguity, sounding more natural.
And think about this. If give or take helps you estimate your commute, imagine how vital that kind of nuanced estimation becomes when you're talking about dwindling supplies or rescue arrival times during a disaster.
Wow, okay. That's a powerful link. Which brings us right to section 3, the crisis context. Communication under extreme duress.
Yeah, this is where the language skills meet the harsh reality. Hurricane Helen, Asheville, North Carolina, September 27, 2024.
This wasn't just a physical test for the community. It was, as you said, the ultimate test of communication, coordination, adaptability.
Under the worst possible conditions, the storm escalated incredibly fast, became one of the worst natural disasters in U.S. history.
And the sources point out something interesting. People there live in a temperate rainforest. They're used to rain, right?
Very used to rain, even flash flooding. So initially, the expectation was just for, typical overflow, maybe a rough couple of days.
But something signaled this was different.
Yes. The sources highlight a key moment. Schools canceled classes a full day before the main rain was even expected to hit.
Which is unusual for rain.
Extremely unusual. That's something they usually only do for serious ice storms, maybe heavy snow, never just for rain.
So that was the first, major warning sign that this was off the charts.
It immediately signaled the scale was potentially unprecedented, and you saw it in the preparations people were advised to take.
Like what?
Well, reading the advice now, it sounds almost absurd, but people were told to fill up everything with water, pots, pans, even bathtubs.
Wow. Sounds extreme.
It does, until you realize thousands actually needed that stored water later.
Because the infrastructure just collapsed.
Completely. The isolation was immediate and terrifying. Power went out for up to 2 weeks in some places.
2 weeks? That's incredible.
And then the water systems failed. No running water for up to 3 weeks in some areas.
3 weeks without water. Unimaginable.
But the sources really emphasized the critical failure: communication infrastructure.
The cell service, the internet.
Gone. Instantly. Just vanished. Leaving people utterly cut off from the world, as one account put it. A really surreal, frightening feeling.
Suddenly that dependence on modern tech becomes a massive liability.
Huge liability. There's this one account, really powerful, where someone mentions feeling panicked after 24 hours without power.
Yeah.
And then realizing how incredibly naive that initial panic seemed compared to the reality of facing weeks without power, water, or any outside contact.
Wow. So the reliance shifted entirely.
Had to. Shifted to analog systems, word of mouth, and crucially, your immediate neighbors.
And the physical devastation was concentrated in certain areas.
Intensely. Especially small towns like Swanoa, where the river literally runs right through the middle of town.
Oh no.
Huge landslides, massive trees down everywhere, blocking all the roads. Parts of the town, the sources say, were just washed away. Gone.
So physical isolation on top of communication isolation.
Exactly. Which meant that initial communication, the initial help, couldn't come from FEMA or the National Guard. They couldn't get in.
It had to come from within the cutoff community.
Yeah. It had to be the person next door.
Which leads us straight into section 4, how that community responded. Transmuting grief into action.
Right. This is where you see communication shift from, practicing phrases to just raw, high-stakes, chaotic coordination for survival.
because organized help couldn't get in initially.
Impossible. Roads were totally blocked, so neighbors just had to step up using whatever they had.
And this relied purely on local resources and, well, talking to each other.
Entirely. Direct, immediate, verbal coordination. The sources describe people who just happen to own heavy equipment.
Like dump trucks, chainsaws.
Yeah, exactly. They just spontaneously formed these informal crews. No official leader, no plan, just people working together.
Clear the roads.
Cutting up and hauling away these enormous fallen trees that were blocking everything. That requires clear, direct commands, quick decisions, the kind of rapid response you implicitly train with something like shadowing, maybe?
Interesting connection. And resource sharing was key too, right?
Absolutely critical. People's freezers were thawing because the power was out.
So they had all this food?
That needed to be used immediately. So spontaneous neighborhood cookouts started happening. People pooling resources, using camping stoves, grills, propane tanks, whatever they had.
Wow. And sanitation. 3 weeks without water.
That was a huge issue. The sources mention neighbors who had above-ground swimming pools.
Yeah.
Sharing buckets of that pool water with elderly neighbors just so they could flush their toilets.
Incredible ingenuity. Small acts, but adding up.
These small, consistent acts, neighbor helping neighbor, they compounded into something really powerful, kept things going.
And then, as access slowly improved, more organized efforts emerged.
Yeah, beyond just the immediate block-by-block stuff, the community organized some really complex relief efforts.
Like what?
Well, there were private citizens who owned helicopters.
Really?
Yeah. They started flying into the remote mountain areas, places totally cut off by landslides, to rescue trapped people.
Amazing. How was that funded? Fuel isn't cheap.
The community raised over $20,000 in donations, specifically earmarked just for helicopter fuel. Incredible generosity.
That really is.
Yeah.
And what about longer-term needs? Food, shelter?
Organizations stepped up massively. The sources mention Blunt Pretzels, a local business.
Okay.
They committed to cooking 3 meals a day for everyone who'd been displaced, who'd lost their homes. And they aimed to do it for a full year.
A whole year. That's commitment.
Huge commitment.
Yeah.
And the volunteers involved, they described this feeling of turning their survivor's guilt. You know, that feeling of why me? Why was I spared?
Yeah.
Turning that into positive action, finding the hands-on work, like just chopping vegetables for hours, surprisingly invigorating and rejuvenating, giving them purpose amidst the chaos.
Channeling that difficult energy.
Exactly. And other groups focused on long-term aid too, like Beloved focusing on rebuilding homes for free.
Wow.
And Bounty and Soul, a food access group, immediately redirected their mobile markets to hardest hit areas, especially Swanir, just to make sure people had food.
It's amazing how different parts of the community tackle different needs.
It really is. And stepping back, looking at the bigger picture, the sources made a point of saying this crisis just erased political divisions.
Really?
Yeah.
In such a polarized time.
Yeah. People from all sides, left, right, center, were just working shoulder to shoulder, helping everyone.
The focus wasn't politics, it was survival.
It was just us. Us, the community, together. That was the sole focus, and even the external help that eventually arrived.
Yeah.
Linemen from Canada, utility crews from all over the U.S., they mirrored that unified, non-political, just get it done attitude.
A powerful, if temporary, unity born from tragedy.
So Section 5, what does all this mean? We've gone from, language drills to this epic story of disaster and response.
Yeah, how do we tie it all together?
Well, I think the synthesis isn't just saying communication is important. That's obvious. It's about the quality and type of communication needed in these extreme situations.
Okay, go on.
If a technique like shadowing trains your brain for rapid, almost automatic verbal response with low cognitive load, that's precisely the skill you need when you're, shouting instructions across a raging flood river, or coordinating a rescue under immense pressure.
Right. No time for hesitation or complex calculations.
And if learning phrases like give or take teaches you functional ambiguity, how to operate with estimates.
Yeah.
That's the mindset you rely on when you're trying to figure out how much fuel is left in the generator or how much drinkable water you really have.
Yeah.
It's practical communication for an imprecise reality.
And the sources mentioned that phrase that emerged from the community.
Small is all. Yeah. Said a profound wisdom in that.
What did it mean in context?
It meant recognizing you can't instantly fix the huge broken systems, the power grid, the water mains, the washed out roads.
That's too big. Too overwhelming.
But you can take small, daily, consistent actions, whether that's practicing your English every day, or checking on your neighbor, or clearing one fallen branch.
And those small things add up. They compound.
They define resilience. That's what small is all means. Focusing on the manageable, the immediate, the human scale actions.
But we also have to acknowledge the cost, right? This wasn't just a story of heroic resilience.
Absolutely not. The human cost was immense, and the recovery is very much ongoing. It's a huge psychological challenge.
The sources mentioned trauma.
Deep trauma, people developing a fear of trees, of heavy rain, the horrific experience of seeing bodies in the river. These things leave scars.
And ongoing issues like grief, survivor's guilt.
Profound realities for many people there. It's not something you just get over.
And the landscape itself carries reminders.
Yeah, the physical environment is scarred too. Even a year later, the sources say, daily life is altered by these stark, visible reminders.
Like that bridge.
The major bridge near the nature center. Still described as literally cut in half. Just sheared off by the floodwaters.
And it probably won't be fixed.
Highly unlikely, according to the sources. Too expensive, too complex now, so it just stays there.
A constant, unavoidable symbol of the event.
A physical manifestation of the grief imprinted onto the infrastructure. A reminder that some damage, some loss is permanent. So, wrapping up our deep dive today. We've journeyed from focused methods for English fluency, like shadowing and nuanced phrases, all the way to this real-world story of crisis, communication, and community response in Asheville.
And the connection seems clear. The ability to communicate effectively, to listen accurately, use nuanced language flexibly, respond quickly, organize collectively, it's fundamental.
Absolutely. Whether you're just trying to order a coffee confidently or coordinate disaster relief under unimaginable pressure, those core skills translate.
That ability to communicate clearly, flexibly, without freezing up, it's foundational. It enabled the collective action that, well, saved the community in many ways.
It really did. And we want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought to chew on.
Okay.
The tragedy in Asheville starkly revealed just how incredibly dependent we've become on fragile, centralized modern technology.
The cell service, the power, the internet. Gone in an instant.
And stayed gone for a long time. So the question for you is, what systems, what connections, what skills do you need to cultivate today that are entirely independent of that technology? Skills that would allow you to communicate, connect, cooperate, and maybe even thrive if or when the grid fails.
Like what kinds of skills?
Maybe practicing clear, concise verbal commands. Maybe basic first aid. Maybe simply building stronger real-world relationships with your actual neighbors, not just online ones. Things that work when the power's off.
That's definitely something to mull over. What are our non-tech communication backups?
Exactly. Food for thought.
Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Take care.